What's up, everyone? Jughead's Journey here. Welcome back to our Let's Watch Hunter x Hunter series. Today, we're watching episode 87, Duel and Escape. So without any further ado, tune in and watch alongside with me during my full, uncut reaction, and then stay for my in-depth analysis discussion afterwards. So, Hunter x Hunter, episode 87, in 3, 2, 1, let's watch. We have 3 interweaving plots today. We got Netero, Morel, and Knov staking it out. We got Neferpitou. We have to see what her ability ends up being and how she's going to fix Kite. And we have Gon and Killua at some point confronting Shoot and Knuckle. 250 human meatballs. Look at that fucking... Pregnant as hell. Just holding on to it. Is it attached to her, or is she just holding it? Because it's so precious. Still just focusing on Ren. Has it been 3 hours? She deep in that Playgirl magazine. Dead silence. Pure focus. Gon was tapping out first before Killua. Have they leveled out? To slaughter them. She's using some strong language. Last episode and this episode. We accomplished the 3 hours. Cookie-chan, another round. But, hey, that was supposed to take 18 months. We're going up against him. See how much you fare, and if it's too much, you know, come back and continue training. Come back, run away, come back, run away. Fight, run, fight, run, fight, run, until you can actually fight. By any means necessary. So pretty much what I was saying. Again, so running and living to fight another day is a strategy. Again, going against what Morel said. This is kind of a lesson that Killua and Gon need to learn. You can run away and come back again to fight another day. So he's kind of like the rare male tsundere who puts on this facade, but in actuality he's a little soft boy, doting on this little puppy. They're already tired, sweating. They're not at their peak condition, but they're gonna see, you know, let's gauge him. Let's feel him out. They're just kids. Gonna be the third person to say this about them. They're just kids. He's gonna do that. Oh yeah? And then he's gonna, yeah. That's a sick shot. Just a couple of kids. Now he feels disrespect. Ooh! I love that shot. That's a thumbnail-worthy frame right there. See, but they're feeling him out. Exactly, so, you know, if you want a fair fight, let us walk away. You know what we look like now, and we kind of get the gauge of your aura. I love their facial expressions. I love their facial animations so much. I want to know what type he is. Be smart. Yes, Gon. Be smart. Listen to what Kite told you. Don't give in to those emotional responses. Yes. Willpower isn't enough. You're gaining a little bit more understanding, which is what counts. You'll develop a plan. Bring out that Jajanken. That's gonna scare the shit out of him. That's gonna scare him. He's gonna move. Oi, oi, oi. Now you're taking them seriously. But you don't know where the punch is gonna go. To your face? To your gut? To your chest? One of your limbs? You don't know where it's gonna go. That's what's so powerful about it. And I'm thinking, is one of the conditions that makes it powerful the fact that Gon just has to stand there and build it up? Like, in this time, Knuckle could be doing anything. He could be counterattacking, he could be dodging, he could be whatever. Gon is completely vulnerable, just standing there, charging it up. Which is what makes it more powerful. Because it's restricting him. And that may sound like a stupid, small, inconsequential, like, compared to all the other restrictions and limitations and conditions people have. That could be, you know, small, whatever. But isn't the point that conditions and limitations, restrictions, contracts are on yourself? There's not like some omnipotent, overruling, overarching, you know, judge that judges people's restrictions or limitations of like, oh, that's not good enough. Oh, that's weak. Oh, that's actually good. It all goes down to your personal relationship and what you deem to be super restrictive, super limiting, a tough condition. So if Gon thinks, man, how disadvantageous, how limiting it, how restrictive it is that I have to stand here and charge up my attack, because he believes it so strongly, that's why it is a powerful condition. It's all on the user themselves. He's gonna move. He's gonna move. He's not gonna take that punch. Or did he take that? He hit something. Oh! He knocked his ass out, though. Oh, he slid. Did he use Ko? Or what? He put trust in him to not kill him or fuck him up? Or, like, did he say that in a positive way? Like, I trusted you and I was right? Or he's saying I trusted you and you end up being this super powerful Nen user with this ability. Still training. Yeah, so we have some mutual respect. It's a two-way street now. We're chill. We on good terms. Because that's not fair. I didn't beat you. That's not right. It's not how we operate. I like how he also doesn't realize, like, hey, how do you know I'm a beast hunter? Oh, it's because I walked right past you when you were shouting through the megaphone. You didn't even notice us. I don't like the idea of cutting off whatever doesn't fit the mold. My teacher says I'm just a softie. But you can't judge something that you've never seen before. You have to exchange blows. Just like here, between each other, between people. What has Gon done again? He's won somebody over. Like always. That the puppy? Good hunters are well liked by animals. And they have good friends. They are blessed with good friends. There's that softy side of him. Tsundere. Little softy delinquent. Ooh, feast time. After this, I need to go eat. I'm starving, and that just made me more hungry. What, did she cook the food? She's in the kitchen. Don't speak so soon. Did she make the food and he's complimenting her? And she's, you know, wow. She puts the knife down. Oh, maybe he's not so bad. Whoa. That's a lot of smoke. Can it be an extension of N? Can he detect through the smoke? Whoa! That's a portal. Okay. So this is his... I'm going to call it a Nen dimension. This is his dimension where he teleports people to. Oh, that's fucking sick. The smoke to confuse or distract or, you know, separate. And if it's an extension of N where he can detect with the smoke and then open the portal, they fall through, go to his Nen dimension that he's created, and Netero's there waiting for him to just pick them off one by one. And it'll help him train. Because he'll start, you know, he'll start breezing through these, getting stronger, training, seeing what they're all capable of, especially if he starts fighting Nen users. And they're taking notice. We're dropping like flies. In the back of my mind, I'm still thinking about the existence of a Nen dimension. Again, think about telling yourself that back in like chapter 45 of the manga, reading it for the first time way back when. Or when you're in Heaven's Arena in the hotel room with Wing as he's unlocking the boys' aura nodes for the first time. You're taking the divination test. You're learning about Nen of the Flame. You're trying to just put together the chart in your head for the very first time. And your future self tells you, hey, in 100+ chapters, in 3-4 arcs from now, you're going to see characters who can create alternate dimensions in space-time with their Nen. She ain't gonna do that. She can't move at all. Are we gonna send out the royal guards? She's not gonna want to do that either, because she has Kite to worry about. Where the hell did they get all this from? Where the hell did they get all this from? Okay, Kite is fucking ripped. The royal guard seems to, yeah. Outside the cave, we don't give a shit. Inside the cave, you know, we'll handle everything. That's our job. We're the royal guards. We're not, you know, infantry soldiers going out. 28 still alive. So then 28 times 4 or 5. And then those have 10 to 15 of their own, you know. That's a lot. Even though the squadron leaders and the officers are the only real ones to pay any mind. Those will be the easiest to take down. Yeah, they'll love to, you know, be the one to defeat these hunters, these humans. Yeah, you might as well use them to your advantage. Lay the trap using your own men. So he can feel through his smoke. Yeah, you kind of want to target the disciplined ones first. So you're left with just the undisciplined ones. Chaos in a good way or a bad way? What's Netero thinking? Well, that's more foreshadowing that it's not going to go that way. Time to fight Knuckle again? And he's getting a whole crew here. This is, again, just like Kite. When he had his whole, you know, little posse community of stray dogs. Are they going to come out of the forest every time? With this slow-mo walk? Dogs, get out of the way. Is it Killua's turn? I'm interesting. Are they going to go one-on-one? Because it'd be interesting that I feel like they would think it's unfair to go 2 against 1, since Shoot isn't here. I guess they're okay going 2 versus 1. You go up top, I'll go down below. I love that teamwork. And I love seeing the martial arts. You know, I love the Nen usage too, but I love also seeing hand-to-hand martial arts combat. And we know willpower's not enough, but they'll train enough where they can fight through, where they won't be exhausted any longer. Oh! Oh! Oh, Shoot's right there. I recognize the purple from when we first saw him in the bar. He has warmed up to these opponents. A hothead who will say something by accident that he shouldn't. Is he gonna take out Knuckle? Ooh. Okay. I like this look. He's very pale, like Kite. And look at this wardrobe. You're looking like Dark Magician from fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's discuss. Finally, a sort of cozy, calmer, slower episode after several in a row, chock full of chaos and so much going on that I couldn't help but yap, and rant and analyze for over an hour back to back. And I think today will actually be quite shorter, but like I always say, you never know with me. But really a more laid back, cozy character study today. Gon and Killua can now consistently and reliably maintain their Ren for at least 3 hours after what I think has only been a couple days, right? I remember somewhere in the episode Knuckles said like there's 20 days left. So to anyone else, it would take 18 months to accomplish what Gon and Killua have done in just days. That's what a 1 in 10 million kid does. But no rest or celebration for them. Bisky immediately orders the 2 of them to challenge Knuckle. But she isn't asking or demanding them to win. I think that's important for them. Especially Gon, who has always, just wanted to win. That's his tunnel vision. She is just asking them to try. Whether you win or lose isn't important. All that matters is who ultimately ends up with the tokens. If it looks like you'll lose, run. Then try again the next day. We can prepare, and we can go for partial victories. We can learn to prize information over our egos. And we can make retreat a new integral and intentional part of our plans. Because that's what's key in Hunter x Hunter. Having a plan and prioritizing living to fight another day. It subverts the cliche, typical shonen, never give up. Here, The master, the mentor, the trainer is literally telling them, run away, we'll try again. Bisky's main thing for the boys has been sculpting their judgment. The routine moving forward is practice Ren 3 hours a day, then go fight Knuckle. Rinse and repeat every day until you win. Knuckle, I really like Knuckle now. Knuckle is the rare male tsundere, at least to me. And I'm sure I haven't watched nearly as much anime as many of you have, but I've finished easily over a dozen, definitely. Over 15. And I'm currently watching 5 right now simultaneously. And this is an archetype I don't think I've ever seen, or I can't even remember if I've seen the male tsundere. Maybe Inuyasha, but I really don't consider him a softie like this. I don't even know if that's the correct term to use for a man. I don't know if it's a gender term. I only ever really hear it used for women, so I don't know if it's gendered or not. He postures like a bruiser, like a delinquent as well, yet his heart just leaks and oozes out of him at the slightest provocation. And he puts on this tough guy aesthetic, but he's really a soft boy who values life and values companionship. But when the two sides meet in that park, Knuckle is immediately insulted at what he's looking at in front of him. Like, he's being pitted up against and presumably compared to these two kids. They must not respect him. I didn't know if he meant they as in Netero and the group, or they as in Gon and Killua, but both cases work. He's insulted that if either of them don't respect him, if Netero, Morel, and Knov don't respect him, and if Gon and Killua don't respect him. If the chairman and your teacher are sending sweaty, exhausted kids as your challenge, or, these kids couldn't have bothered to be well-rested, well-fed in their first confrontation with you. It's best to also fight 5 hours after a good rest, and these two kids have already come exhausted and sweaty. Knuckle is pissed. Knuckle presents an impressive aura that intimidates Gon and Killua. They say they can't move. Knuckle stands there and tells them, punch me. Hit me as many times as you like. But if I don't take a step from this spot, leave your tokens behind. Gon doesn't like Knuckle's attitude or his challenge. He wants to yell, don't look down on us, at Knuckle, but only does so in his head. Gon thinks to himself, I'd like to respond that way, but it's clear that we aren't on Knuckles' level. We have no right to argue that. Not right now. The fact is, we can't overcome everyone or everything with willpower. It seems Kite's words have finally absorbed in Gon's mind and have rooted themselves. I have to imagine what happened to Kite, and having to leave him behind, being no help to him and no match for Neferpitou, has finally made him understand willpower is not enough. The boys are being taught to diagnose matchups, quickly analyze their foes, instead of simply desiring quick victory. This is the first time Gon states in clear terms that effort and willpower and, just fucking wanting it more aren't enough. They're not the universal factor. Old Gon would bark at Knuckle, don't look down on us, and take a swing out of pride. This is a newer Gon I'm liking to see. He swallows that bark inside him, keeps the anger as a fuel, and chooses something more measurable. Instead of getting hot-headed, shouting, responding emotionally, Gon just takes a step forward, bluntly, calmly states that he won't stop punching Knuckle until he moves. There's still that stubbornness, but there's sanity this time. He's not being crazy. Knuckle has pretty much drawn a straight line for Gon. Gon loves straight lines. And Knuckle just told him to make him move back one step. And we know Knuckle got sent flying back in a straight line. And Gon's emotions are being regulated in this moment, which actually helps Gon in this case because it's like a focusing cone, like the exhaust nozzle on the back of fighter jets, constricting the exhaust gas with a massive increase in pressure to produce more thrust. Once you regulate your emotions, you multiply your output. So Gon not shouting, not getting worked up. When he puts his hands together at his side, the air tightens because he's just been focused and pressurized. Gon charges up his Jajanken. Knuckle is so surprised by Gon's intense aura that he even calls it cheating. Like, of course, great. I said punch me, and your fucking main ability is a punch. Great. And Knuckle said he won't move from where he's standing. So Gon has all the time in the world to charge his fist and aim where he pleases. Just like with Genthru, who was trapped and cornered in that cave, had nowhere to go. Knuckle again made a mistake. He didn't know he was going who he was going up against, didn't know his opponent's ability, which is him standing in place, charging and then pack-a-punched fist, and he just made a promise he can't break not to move. And that is one of the main drawbacks to Gon's rock, how long it takes to build up, how Gon is forced to stand in one place. Here, he can take as much time as he wants, because his opponent vowed not to move. But to me, that's the condition that makes it more powerful. Gon has to announce it with his chant. First comes rock, and stands during his chant. Stands still during his chant. And I'm sure he could chant and move around. There's nothing stopping him from uttering the words while he's dodging and weaving or running around. But I think then that would then make it less powerful. And I was kind of going into it in the reaction of how your restrictions can literally be whatever you want them to be. The restrictions you place are coming from your own personal point of view, your perspective. It could be the easiest thing or the hard thing, depending on the person. Like I said during the reaction, it's not like there's some omnipotent Nen judge above looking down, ruling over the severity of people's restrictions and vows and conditions. It's all individually judged by the person setting them, by the soul, which is where aura derives from. It's biological in that sense. Your aura is you. And it's like a gymnast saying, oh, I have to stand and balance on one leg while doing this. Okay, well, that's easy as hell for you. Someone who knows they have bad balance, saying the same thing, someone who's unfit, the complete opposite of a gymnast, saying, the same thing, I have to stand on one foot and balance well, that's super difficult for them. Their Hatsu would get a boost. Restrictions and vows are only policed by your own conviction, your own genuine sincerity. So I do think Gon sees a huge buff to Jajanken simply by having to stand still and audibly chant what's coming. But Knuckle doesn't know anything about any of this. And so he canceled out all of Gon's Jajanken drawbacks. Knuckle also doesn't know whether to defend with Gyo or Ko. His mind is scrambling because he doesn't know where to defend either. Again, you jumped into these shark-infested waters. You jumped into this situation without any understanding. If he goes with Ko and dumps aura into a single point for maximal defense, okay. But if you're punched in the jaw when you picked guts to defend, you're dead. Would Gyo, I don't know if that would even be enough. Also, does Knuckle know all of the advanced techniques? Does he know Ryu and Ken? Why wouldn't those work? He only mentioned Gyo and Ko. But again, he just really fucked himself. That's the other thing about Rock. Gon's opponent has no idea where the punch is going to land. The chest, stomach, face, a limb. If Gon is also able to one day master rock, paper, and scissors, not only will his opponents not know where he's going to strike, they won't know what he's going to strike with. They won't know if he's about to call rock and get punched, or scissors and get sliced, or call paper and, you know, get blasted. That's what paper is again, right? It's like a shockwave, right? Like a Nen barrier that throws them back. That's more defensive, I guess. If it went like rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and it's a complete surprise what he ends up throwing. You know, also, his opponents won't know when he's going to strike. He could go on a long pause like, first comes rock. Rock? Scissors. You know? This also makes me realize how little sense Gon's chant actually makes in my head. It makes sense because I understand why it's worded the way it is, but it also just kind of bothers me every time I read it, and it kind of puts me off. But like, I don't know. It's like a mix of the subtitles and just the way the subtitle translation and just the way that Japanese people play rock, paper, scissors. But it always just makes so little sense on screen. You know, when I play, it's just rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And on shoot is when, you know, you choose what you're going with. And you guys have told me so in the comments, and so I remember, you know, I know Jajanken literally translates to something like evil fist, and it's the name of the game rock, paper, scissors. You know, we call it rock, paper, scissors. They call it Jajanken, and, you know, it literally translates to evil fist, doesn't translate to rock, paper, scissors. And Gon says it in the show like how you would play the game in Japan. You know, first comes rock. I forget how you say that in Japanese, but he literally says first comes rock, or starting with rock, because you start the game with your hand in a fist, and so he utters that, and then you yell Janken Pon. But instead of Pon, he says what he's using. So it'll be Janken, and then whatever I think it's Gu is rock, Choki, that's scissors, and then I forget what paper is it Pa or something? So it's like Janken Gu. But in real life you say Janken Pon. And I assume that goes along with the restriction or the condition of or whatever, is that he's announcing to his opponent what he's throwing. But it's just still very weird to me every time I hear it and read the subtitles on screen, because in my head, I'm just thinking rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Knuckle is expecting Gon will just be straightforward about this challenge and simply aim for the gut that's right in front of him at eye level. So this is the area he's defending. He's counting on everything that it's his gut. You know, this is a simple challenge. He trusts that Gon won't try to trick him or seriously hurt him or kill him. The punch lands and sends Knuckle sliding backwards a good 20 or so feet, even with Knuckle defending himself. And so, you know, was Knuckle just ignorant, or did he choose to be bound this way no matter the consequences? It's a little bit of both. He legit did not know the specifics of Gon's Hatsu ability at all, what it even was. You know, how unlucky for him, like I said, he challenged him to a punching match, and Gon's main ability is a punch. You know, he didn't know his ability was going to be fucking Jajanken. That's completely on him, though. That's his fault. That's completely on him. But he also chose to create a scenario, I think, that would test character more than anything else. His goal was to just measure these kids without breaking them or him breaking his own word. So getting blasted 20 feet back, not flinching, and surviving and discovering what Gon is, that's a success. Proved his own spine and gave Gon an idea about his ceiling. And before Knuckle passes out, he smiles, looking at Gon, you know, I trusted you. He trusted Gon would punch him square in the gut, straight in front of him. And so he diverted all aura to his gut. That's the only way he came out relatively fine. He trusted Gon, and it worked. Knuckle wakes up in bed, the next morning, because they're at the fight in the park, it's nighttime, and you can see outside the window that it's daytime. So Knuckle wakes up in bed the next morning, and we see Gon and Killua in the corner doing their daily 3-hour Ren training as ordered by Bisky. So we know right there that they didn't take Knuckles' tokens, and they don't consider him defeated. They're doing their 3-hour Nen training to immediately re-challenge him again later that day. Yesterday's experiment, they refused they refused that unearned win. And Knuckle wakes up, he admits he underestimated the two of them, and he asks, why didn't they just ditch him and take his token? And Gon and Killua, they don't just purely simply want the token. It's not loot. It's proof of work. It's proof of strength. That wouldn't be fair, and it wouldn't ultimately help them. They want the strength necessary to defeat him in a straight-up fight. The point in taking their opponent's token is that they're meant to show and prove their strength in being able to defeat him, because that kind of strength is what's going to be required in NGL. Taking an unconscious man's token after a petty ego challenge they had defeats the purpose of Netero's test. Just as Knuckle admits he underestimated the two of them, so do Gon and Killua openly tell him he is way stronger than him and they need more training before they can genuinely fare against him in a duel. Gon asks Knuckle why he's a beast hunter, which is interesting because that's what Kite is, or was, and maybe that's why Gon is so curious to ask that question why. And that's a fitting hunter for this Chimera Ant problem. A beast hunter, meaning his Nen ability must in some way be tied or useful to his beast hunting. Or it's a bad one because we need to kill these Chimera Ants, and he sounds like he doesn't want to exterminate a species just because. Knuckle won't say why he became a beast hunter. It brings up bad feelings from his past. All he says is, I don't like the idea of cutting off whatever doesn't fit the mold. My teacher says I'm a softie, but you can't judge something that you've never seen before. First, you have to exchange blows. So it sounds like he doesn't want to just kill these Chimera Ants without understanding them first. And his purpose here is to prevent that from happening. So he could end up just getting in the way, and his ability could end up being something that merely traps or subdues instead of kills. And so Knuckle might be a liability in NGL. And that's exactly what Killua thinks to himself. Yeah, and doing that will just get you killed in the process. Like, does Knuckle know these two kids have been in NGL already and have already fought against these Chimera Ants? They know them, can judge them, and they want to kill them. But I mean, I can see Gon somewhat agreeing with Knuckle because Gon didn't want to unnecessarily kill that armadillo one a couple episodes ago. He only dropped the moral boundary of his once they showed their disregard for their own comrades. So if Gon meets ants that do show humanity, do show respect and care and camaraderie for their brothers and sisters, he might hesitate and not want to kill them. That could be as much a liability as Knuckle. I was thinking of the CKLE as Knuckle. And that's probably why Gon and Knuckle like each other. Maybe they get that vibe from one another. Both hunters who are well liked by animals, as we already know for Gon, and we see in this scene, in this episode with Knuckle and the stray dogs. But Killua is saying that's a horrible idea from Knuckle. Like, if I go and test that hypothesis against a tiger, I'm fucking dead. Also, we see his first you have to exchange blows idea. That went completely wrong against Gon. Knuckle presented a dare challenge to Gon without ever seeing his Hatsu before. He just went in wanting to exchange blows, and he completely trapped and screwed himself. So let's not follow that philosophy personally. Gon tells Knuckle that a sign of a good hunter is that they're well liked by animals. We know someone like Morel wouldn't have told him that. So this little positive affirmation, I feel, this little piece of wisdom might be the first time Knuckles ever heard that line before, and it makes him feel good. Lets him know, okay, one, I'm not a softie, and even if I am a softie, it makes me a good hunter. Knuckle tells Gon he's a good kid. He can tell. Again, Gon wins another person over. Gon tells Knuckle he likes him too. So now the two are friends. And it's lunchtime. Time to eat before fighting again. Best to fight after a good rest and also likely after a good meal. And I thought it was funny how Palm was creeping on them around the corner in the kitchen with a knife shaking in her hand because she wants Knuckle and Shoot slaughtered so she can get into NGL. But when she overhears Knuckle complimenting her cooking, she drops the knife. And I assume it was her cooking. She cooked the food because she's in the kitchen holding a knife. The food is fresh. It's not like they DoorDash or Uber Eats it. And to me, that reads as her being the one who prepared the food. And he actually complimented her on the food. Knuckle tells Gon and Killua, you can fight me anytime you want. He'll give them as many tries as they wish. They want to earn his token in a fair fight. Knuckle wants to do the same. Instead of beating the hell out of them just once, he agrees to help them improve, meeting them every day in the same location in that park to face off and mutually train. Just because they're rivals and competing in terms of earning their entry into NGL, which of them between the two groups deserves it most, that doesn't mean they have to be actually enemies and doesn't mean they have to hate each other on a personal level. You can be friends and comrades and also competitors at the same time. And I think both of them will mutually benefit from this. The boys get to train with a strong adult who can really push them without breaking them. And Knuckle gets these two spry, unpredictable 1 in 10 million kids, and he gets some companionship. These kids have crazy abilities. He's only seen one of them, and it fucked him up. And they can push him, and they can also maybe, help him hold his code confidently. Bisky, she's a genius. Bisky making Gon and Killua face and fight an opponent while they're exhausted is going to be invaluable when they're back in NGL confronting Chimera Ant Nen users who and will have to push past their limits and fight despite being exhausted. They'll have to persevere and push past their exhaustion and keep standing, keep fighting. Inside NGL, though, Netero, Knov, and Morel have a perfect, genius idea utilizing all three of their Nen abilities and skills. Morel blows an immense amount of smoke through the forest. And I don't know if that's purely meant to reduce visibility, disorient, and hide what Knov's doing, or if it also operates like an N, where Morel can detect anything within his smoke. I think it would have to, because the smoke would obviously reduce Knov's ability too, and he was able to tell exactly where each Chimera Ant was, because he was creating a portal right under each of their feet. They fall through his portal and fall into some empty room. So we know Knov's full of Nen ability now. I don't know the name of it. We don't know something like that because we haven't gotten the cool animation that we get anytime someone's ability is revealed. I don't know what it's called, but we know what it is now. Not just a portal, but where his portal leads to. A Nen construct, a Nen dimension, a Nen, we only see one room, but obviously this isn't just a mission. This has to be conjuration because he has to imagine the room. He has to conjure it into being, even if it's not present here in this realm, it's somewhere. And he's conjured a room in a different dimension. That's what he imagined, and it comes true. But like I was saying, he has to conjure it into being, into existence. And conjuration and emission are on total opposites on the chart. So this is impressive. He's either skilled enough in both somehow, despite being opposite each other, meaning he's exceptionally skilled, which I don't know if it's the case, Or my understanding of teleportation and portals created by Nen is pretty misunderstood. And could actually be a conjuration ability instead of an emission ability. That boxer who teleported his fist, that could be emission. But the fact that there is a physical space, a room in a different dimension, you're not just traveling space, you're creating and imagining and conjuring a space. That's where I'm like, okay, this is not emission. The boxer was an emitter, but Knov might be a conjure, because technically if you can conjure a dimension, imagine a dimension, conjure, imagine a room in that dimension, couldn't you also just conjure an entrance to that room or dimension? Imagine a door, an entrance, which could be a portal or just, a circular thing. So is he just conjuring an entrance hole to his conjured dimension is what I'm trying to say. Like, is Knov more so just opening doors into a conjured space? Now that I know there's an actual physical room, unlike episode where I had no idea what was on the other end, and other people can inhabit that room, they can go in the portal, they can go beyond, and they can occupy the other side of the portal. It makes me believe he's actually a conjurer and not an emitter. Hopefully you know what I'm saying. Let me know what you think. And who's in this room waiting for the ants to come falling in from the portal on the ceiling? Netero, in a tank top with his pants rolled up, ready to go, looking jacked as hell to take them out one by one, which also lets him train too. He gets some reps in. It's pretty dark, you're utilizing life, conscious beings too, because they're not just just bugs. They're conscious, and you're just treating living things as reps. He's learning about them, studying and observing them, fighting them, killing them. The ones we see this episode were just grunts, but if captains and officers start falling in, and they've all attained Nen, then that'll be valuable training for Netero, and that'll be fun as hell for me as a viewer. He's the fighter of the three. Morel and Knov, I don't think they're going to do much physical fighting, hand-to-hand combat. Maybe Morel, because he's fucking huge and he's close to Enhancer, but I very much doubt Knov. But Netero is the pure Enhancer. He'll partake in pretty much all of the combat. So this is priceless training ahead of the Royal Guards and the King for sure. Back in the nest, though, Neferpitou, man. Neferpitou has gone full Dr. Frankenstein. Look at all those machines in the nest up along the wall in her laboratory. Where the hell did all those come from? And for what purpose, too? Like, it's something out of a fucking sci-fi movie. And Kite is suspended in some weird vertical tube like the Bacta tank from Star Wars. Like he's a specimen in a jar. Actually, it's probably the complete opposite of the Bacta tank, because I don't think Kite is coming back fully restored after Pitou does whatever she intends on doing to him. I think he's going to be like a goddamn zombie, or like a Frankenstein's monster and just follows her orders. I don't know. We didn't get enough of a glimpse of what she was in the middle of imagining when we saw that purple energy and that kind of abstract face poking out right at the end where we see her imagine her ability. I don't know. I thought she was just going to use this new ability we saw her imagine at the end of last episode. Not actually create a freak laboratory and actually have machines and doohickeys and shit like she's legit Dr. Frankenstein and Kite's going to be her monster. And if that's what ends up happening, Kite ends up under her control. Gon witnesses this. Dear God. Also, shoot at the very end, right at the end. I like his look. Also very pale gray. Looks like he could be Nobunaga's younger brother, quite frankly. Has a purple robe that wraps around him like he's Dark Magician from Yu-Gi-Oh! he seems paranoid about Knuckle, that he might be getting too close, too friendly with these rivals, and might accidentally say something he's not supposed to. We know they have different conditions and, like rules to go by than what Killua and Gon do. I don't know if it pertains to that, or Shoot just doesn't want Knuckle accidentally revealing information about him. Or like if their whole game plan is, okay, Knuckle, you go out in this wide open park and I'm going to watch from a distance. I don't know if it's that. I guess it kind of sounds like Shoot wants to kill Knuckle. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to have to watch next episode to find out, and that's where I'm going to end today's discussion. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop if you haven't already. Keep the conversation going down in the comments below, especially for the questions I was asking you. If you're interested in exclusive reactions, unedited reactions, and early access, check out my Patreon. Having said all that, and with that said, so long, until next time, thank you, have a good one, peace.